the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We've waited a long time. You all know her. She was born in a military facility, but raised here in Las Vegas on the east side, beloved by many of us here in the community, deeply connected to the community. She is the first female president of an NFL franchise, the Las Vegas Raiders. We're thrilled to have Sandra Douglass Morgan here at the podcast. Sandra, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Jaime, for having me. If I may, the first female CEO of an NFL team was Amy Trask, who was also with the Raiders. Wow. But I'm proud to be the first Black female president in the NFL. So
and
thank you
we're proud
for
of you.
having me.
I know all of Southern Nevada is proud of you. So, one of the things that as we did our research to do this interview, it was really good to see what your friends have to say about you and your family. One of the things that struck me the most was somebody said, one of your friends said, it seems like everybody loves Sandra. And that's the case. Well, I remember when we first met, when you were at the city of North Las Vegas, and then one of your other friends said, I think it's her infectious, disarming smile. There it is. There it is. So let me get started because our podcast, usually the guest tells us about where they were born, where they were raised. Mm-hmm. Now, again, we know a little bit about you, the daughter of Gilbert, an Air Force Master Sergeant. Kilsha, a keynote winner from the Horseshoe Landmark and Imperial Palace. Again, born on a military base, but raised here on the east side with your sister Sonia, who's doing great things in our nation's capital. I want you kind of to tell us, what was it like to be raised here in Las Vegas? It was a different place, but take us through your childhood, where you went to school. Take us to your first job after graduation from El Dorado High School.
Okay. All right. Goodness, you went back. We went back far. People often ask me what it was like to be raised in Las Vegas, but when you are raised here, and I've been here ever since I was 2, you don't know of any other place as to what it's like. I grew up on the east side. Very, very proud of my community, and not only all of Southern Nevada, but the area that I feel like kind of molded me into who I was. I'll be honest, a lot of my friends, though, that lived around there, it was very common to have one parent in the military and one parent in the gaming industry. So I honestly thought, which one of your parents is in the military, right? Which one of your parents works at a casino? And if so, which one? So I've had dear friends that have had that experience. And my parents just always impressed upon my sister and I the importance of education. And my sister, like you mentioned, Sonia, she's now in New York, professor at Columbia University. Very, very obviously proud of her. She's the smarter one, obviously. But my parents just always said, just make sure you get your education because that's something that no one can take from you. That's something that is yours and will, hopefully give you as many options as possible. And so I know they worked day and night. My mother always kind of worked swing shift. My sister and I would be like, we're never alone. There was always a parent home and they always just really focused and made sure we focused on education. So went to Mountain View Elementary School, then Stanford Elementary School. And that was because the city was growing. So I was moving different schools. Del Robinson Middle School, Open Callahan Middle School was actually one of the first class there. Up on Hollywood. No, that's on Hollywood. Oh, okay. Hollywood and Owens near there. Cesar Chavez Park is right by there. Then went to El Dorado High School. Proud Sun Devil. I know they have a different name now, but I was a Sun Devil, and that's what I'm saying. And then I honestly thought I was going to go away for school. My sister went to Colorado State. We're about 3 years apart, so I would have only had a year with her, but had an incredible opportunity. This is before the Millennium Scholarship was even, outside of giving my age, was even around. I was lucky enough to obtain a presidential scholarship. And I say lucky, but that was also because I worked really hard to make sure that I had good extracurricular activities in high school and a good GPA to go to UNR. And went there, finished in about 3.5 years. Really eye-opening experience. I think it was what college should be about, really getting to know other people from different places, different backgrounds, becoming an independent, working and having to wash your own clothes and pay your own bills and do all of that type of thing. And knew I wanted to go to law school probably by the time I was a sophomore or junior in undergrad. And I remember, our former U.S. attorney, former Speaker of the House, Jason Frierson, also did undergrad at UNR, and he told me, I think I'm going to go to law school at UNLV. And I thought, it just opened. Are you sure? What if, you pass the bar? And then what if you have to stay in Nevada? Because he was from California, and I always thought I was going to leave Nevada. And record almost breaking accreditation, right, timeline for the William S. Boyd School of Law there. So by the time he finished, he was able to take the bar in any state. By the time I even attended, it was already provisionally accredited. And, goodness, just what the state has been able to do, again, for me, being able to obtain my higher education kind of in both ends of the state. So I went to law school, and then my first job, I worked in high school, and I love sneakers, not just because I have them on today, but I always did. But my first job was actually at Champs Sports in the Meadows Mall. You really did do your research. I mean, my goodness. Champs Sports in the Meadows Mall. And then I worked at the Foot Locker on Charleston and Lamb, standalone there for a while. And but my first job after I finished undergrad, I should say my first salary job, was actually working for R&R Advertising at the time, right, which is now R&R Partners in their research division.
Before the What Happens Here?
Oh yeah. Wow. I mean, this is late 90s. So that's
cool. Let's go down memory lane again. You know, now what they call them, the yearbooks are now public,
Yeah.
And so I know.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Tell me what this picture, what memories it brings you.
This is crazy.
Not only that.
This was in front of the Mirage Mountains.
Yes.
We thought we were a big deal when we took these photos, because most, your high school sport photos would be in your gym or your field, but we thought we were a really big deal. We did this.
Yes.
And I remember Desiree that's there. Anyway, so I was a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader all 4 years at El Dorado High School. And I still have that megaphone in my school.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And class, also you were
I was class president.
Yeah,
I was class president every year except my sophomore year.
Now this group, I wish the picture was dark, but I'm sure you still remember some of your peeps from high school. Huh?
This is student council. Wow. This is so great to see them. And it's funny, I saw one of the women in here, Christina. She lives in New Orleans now, is doing great. Why was I in New Orleans? Maybe it was I was in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, and I ran into her.
That's great.
I'm just so happy to see these, because a lot of the people here are doing really well. It's great to see them.
When we were reading about you, Sandra, that was one of the things that really impressed me, that some of your friends said that during the college years, they'd come visit you at college, and then you'd organize visits to them, and they called you the glue that kept the group together, this group from, and that says a lot about you.
Well, I think it's good to keep in contact. I think it's good to know and stay true to your roots, and just, to support each other. If it wasn't for my friends, I wouldn't, the world's crazy, as you know. There's so many things pulling at you. Yes. We go through different stages of life, right? Marriages, children, parents, friends, job changes. And I just think it's important to remember, when you go back to your childhood friends, who you are, and kind of just keep you grounded a little bit,
Well, let's see if you remember who this girl is. This is the one that won the prestigious presidential scholarship to UNR. Look at this girl.
This is my senior portrait.
Wow.
This is my senior portrait, yeah.
Yeah, you were leaving UNR bound.
Absolutely. Wow. Absolutely.
And then, of course,
cheesy too.
Well, I know that. What would you think if I was able to pull it off and do a lot of research and find a picture of your 240Z Datsun?
Oh, 260.
260Z.
260. 1974. Okay, who's doing the background work?
We tried really hard, and we couldn't find. But look what we found.
This is great.
Yeah, so you drove one of those, didn't you?
Oh, yes. And you know what's funny? I had a choke. It was manual.
Yeah,
can't even find a manual nowadays. No. And on the spoiler, no, not on this. What do you call it on the rear hatch?
Oh, yes.
It's
a hatchback, right?
It's a hatchback, but it has the different levels, like the black.
Oh, like a
thing.
grill.
Yes, the grill.
Yeah.
The grill, the kind
you
of
had
back
one
grill.
Of those.
Oh yeah, I remember. I painted mine. Yeah, you had to work with what you had.
Did you used to cruise the strip? The 90s kids used to cruise the strip.
We until there was a curfew.
Yeah.
Do you know my favorite spot was, because I love music as well, and you could only afford to get those single cassette tapes just with one song and maybe a bonus song, but Tower Records.
Wow.
Do you remember Tower Records?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I get you were a Bobby Brown fan, right?
Yes. Janet Jackson was my first cassette tape, though. Janet Jackson.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
One. Since we're talking about music,
This is. I might keep this.
Yeah, you can. One last picture from those years.
Oh yes. This was homecoming.
Yes.
And she was my college roommate for a little while.
Wow.
Yep.
UNR?
This is great. Yep. UNR.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's so good.
And I haven't kept in contact with one of them, but I know 4 of them are doing all really, really well. So that's great. This is great to see.
Awesome. Well, thanks for going down memory lane with us.
And you could tell, even though the colors were red, I still didn't wear red. Silver and black, right?
That is cool. That's so cool.
This is great.
So now let's leave El Dorado High School. And again, UNR, but then you came back to UNLV for Sam Boyd School of Law. And again, your career has taken you so many places, right? Obviously public service, the private sector, now professional sports. But I remember after, and today we were talking a little bit about off camera, how as I was leaving MGM after 20 years, you went and spent 3 years there with Phyllis James and all those folks. And then again, we met because you were at the City of North Las Vegas. But then you went on to be, again, a chairwoman of the Nevada's Gaming Control Board, first one. Then you'd be a member of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. You went on to Covington and Burling. I mean, such a rich professional journey. Tell us, take us through a little bit of that professional journey, what it meant for you. But I think people already knew that you were on the way up.
I'm like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm like wondering what's in that stack and that pile over there. This is funny.
You were voted on the way up, and your career has proven it.
That's sweet. I mean, he was the salutatorian. I think you had the salutatorian and the valedictorian in there. I was not either one of those, but yeah, that was really flattering to that your classmates would do. Yeah,
on the way out. Tell us about that journey.
It's really surprising kind of looking back. I was at the City of North Las Vegas for 8 years, an incredible time for me, I think, in my growth as a professional and as a leader, and honestly as a person. When you work in public service, it is not easy. It is, because I think if you're true to what your calling is in serving the public, you really have to focus on not what's best for yourself, not what's best for the person in the office sitting next to you, but what is truly best for the residents and the services that you're providing them. And I was there at a challenging time during the recession, unfortunately. So when you look at, what does a resident expect, from government? Is it roads? Is it schools? Is it having access to recreation centers, senior centers, and those type of things. So it really, I felt like it really grounded me. And I was there at a time, obviously, with different elected officials that were there, kind of, and seeing different styles of governing and leading. The MGM journey was incredible. I was a young attorney, but still was able to have, access and sit with, leaders, COOs and CEOs of those individual properties and those resorts, and understanding their philosophy and how they wanted to manage risk and how they wanted to grow revenue. So having an insight to that at a young age was really, I think, beneficial to me. But through all of that and some of the pathways that you mentioned, I never expected to go back to law, and then I went back, and I went to Covington and Burling, which is a very well-known, well-respected international law firm. After I was a regulator on the Athletic Commission and the Gaming Commission and Gaming Control Board. So I feel like when I talk about these different experiences, I'm hopeful that I made my parents proud, because the whole point was education will give you as many options as possible. But through that journey, and really through that, I often mention North Las Vegas because not only was I there for a good amount of time, but it was I really felt like I got the confidence to say, if I could get through this, then I'm willing to take a chance on myself and try different things. And that's something that I really want to impress upon, young people or anyone, honestly, when I meet them, of you have to be able to take a chance on yourself and have enough confidence in yourself to try different things. And so far, it's led me to different, experiences. I have not gotten every single position that I've applied for. I definitely have not gotten every single promotion that I put my name in the ring for. And I think that that's something that's probably not talked about as much. And I'm trying to be more intentional in talking about that, because it hasn't been an easy kind of linear path. You get knocked down. You get people that say, you know what, I just don't think you're right for this. And they don't tell you why. And you can either take that feedback and kind of dwell in it and maybe become a little discouraged, or you can, say, you know what, okay, maybe they didn't see something in me, but I see something in myself, and I'm going to give it. And if someone else sees that, I'm going to show them, what I can do. I think it's really important to have that resilience and be able to bounce back. And through all these experiences, you realize sometimes maybe it isn't just the right fit, and maybe I didn't get that job, but look, it ended up working out in a different way.
Thank you for sharing that perspective. Because most of us think, don't think about that in your journey. Do you think all of that prepared you best for this big role at the Raiders?
I do. I think all of, everyone's life experiences, I think, help you get to the point that you're at. And, this has not been an easy journey at the Raiders either. We're trying to build and grow a fan base here in Las Vegas. We're trying to convert, fans from other teams to become Raider fans. I'm not looking at you, but I'm looking at
Even
you. No,
in
I'm
Mexico,
kidding.
right?
No, but in all seriousness, we're trying to grow a fan base here. Las Vegas has never had a professional football team. We have an incredibly beautiful, magical stadium, I'll say, that has been able to host so many different types of events. But getting that fan base, we know, is not going to happen overnight. So how do we focus on that? It's through community impact. It's through, clearly marketing efforts, and it's through educating Las Vegas as to what it means to be a Raider. So these last, 4 to 5 years definitely have not been a walk in the park, but it's been a challenge that I honestly love, and I love waking up every day to be the president of the Raiders. And it's because of the people and the people. And it's my job as president to make sure they understand that vision, they understand our mission. And then I'm giving them the resources they need to make sure that we can execute on all the incredible things that I know we're going to be able to do.
Has it been 4 or 5 years, Sandra?
It's incredible.
Oh my God.
July 2022.
That's incredible. Yeah. And when you were kind enough to give us the tour of the headquarters, I can tell you that whether it was Michael Crome or Holly, whoever we met, again, everybody loves you. You have seem to have brought a culture there that is not just inclusiveness, but real homegrown, care, compassion, and love. And that I felt that as walking. It's not, Raiders is a manly brand, a very tough, but man, it felt really loving there at the Raiders headquarters. So
well, I think toughness, right, and grit. It's not a one size fit all, right? I mean, you have women that have been able to manage their homes, manage a career, take care of loved ones, take care of grandchildren, grandparents, and I think that's a level of toughness and grit that any Raider would love to have. And thank you so much for the comment about the culture. When I started in the position, my goal was really to kind of focus on stability and for people to understand kind of me and what I stood for. But just like a football team, it's building on the inside out. So we really looked at doing everything we could to streamline internal operations, make those internal processes easier, because I know the most valuable thing for me is time. So if we can give that employee time back to kind of cut down on, check requests, invoice requests, process reports, making sure that every division understands what projects are being on and kind of doing that in an automated way, then that employee will be like, great, that gives me more time to focus on what I want to do, right? What my job actually is. So we really invested a lot in technology and modernizing kind of the internal operations, which are going to allow us to kind of grow revenue and enhance that fan experience. You
were saying earlier how the Allegiant is a magical stadium, but even your facilities in Henderson, it's a beautiful space. Everything, the offices, the training facilities, Is that normal in the NFL, or is that unique, that training facility?
Oh, it's not normal. It's definitely unique because there's only one team that football team that Marcus Davis owns, and it's the Raiders. He has such an incredible eye, honestly, for design and for artwork, and he's just incredibly creative and can see something. I mean, we could be talking here and he could notice that something was kind of slightly off when we were walking in, and you can just feel that when you walk into headquarters, into the stadium. To your point, he's definitely behind the look and feel, and obviously grew up with the brand since he was 6 years old, being with the Raiders. So he knows what a Raider looks like and how it's supposed to feel, and when you're going into that NFL stadium, even though we host so many other events there, you're in the Raiders' home as soon as you walk into a stadium.
Do. And I never thought about that I always thought commitment to excellence meant on the field, but now I'm thinking, no, it's design. It's how you look, what it feels like. It's commitment to excellence and all of that, the experience.
On and off the field.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess I lied. There's more memory lane, because when I met you, you were the part of the legal team at the city of North Las Vegas, but had appointed to be the leader of the legal team for the Workforce Connections Legal Consortium. And you would come to our old location and, and make sure that we did things right, and that the consortium and those members of the city councils and counties were taken care of, protected, if you will. So this is, you remember this day. This was your last day at the city.
Oh, yes.
And, again, all those people hold you dear to their hearts because you did great work there. And so do we, as we as you left and we stopped seeing you a little bit, we always took credit for you. Always said, whenever you popped up, she was one of us, because you worked with us, if you will.
Still am.
I hope you don't mind that we take credit for you.
I still am, yeah.
But tell us again, what were your memories when you would come to Workforce Connections as the head legal of the team? What memories do you have of those years?
I being a lawyer, I don't want to necessarily recall certain matters, but it's a public agency. But I remember with the LEOs, right? I don't know, are they still calling them LEOs now? Yes. So you had an attorney, obviously, that represented the entire board, but your board was made up of elected officials representing different local governments or jurisdictions. And then you had different stakeholders, whether it be from businesses and chambers, and you had your own internal staff, right? That was there. And I realized, I think early on in my legal career, I was a litigator for about 10 years, first 5 to 10 years. But I always enjoyed being assigned to matters, especially when I was at a firm in my younger age that was working with the general counsel on establishing either whether it be policies, procedures, or addressing things before the lawsuit, right? Yes. And being kind of more immersed in that organization to kind of help that leader make business decisions. So when I had assignments like you're going to work with all the local elected officials on Workforce Connections, and I can kind of dig in, okay, what's Workforce's goals? What are their missions? What are the short-term goals? What do they need to attack long-term? And then being assigned to the local elected officials, how are their interests or their issues or exposure, how is that going to be different from the rest of the board? Yes. But then ultimately, if the local elected officials on the board, the goal is to make sure the Workforce Connection goal is ultimately met. So I love kind of identifying those relationships, those issues. And really, anytime I do that, I take a step back and say, what does everyone have in common? Right? What does everyone have in common? And then how can you utilize that common goal to help build trust and communication amongst those groups? So with the LEOs, that was a long way of saying, with the LEOs, I represented, not only my home city of North Las Vegas, but also Las Vegas, Henderson, Boulder City, right, as well. Clark County, of course. And, being able to develop relationships with those elected officials, even though it was on Workforce Connections, what are some other regional matters we were working on through that, became, I consider friends with Deborah March, even though she was at a different city. And then we were able to work on some things through the Regional Planning Commission. So just really true, great memories. But I will say one of my most proudest moments is that you have all of these local elected officials representing separate constituencies. They're all elected by the public, all have, their own concerns. But when it comes to Nevada and workforce and Southern Nevada, they're all willing to work together to get something done. And that's what I always kind of focused on, right? So let's say you have a member of the business community, you have an employee of workforce, and you have someone that's maybe in Boulder. Okay, but the goal is to get something done. And if we get this done, it helps everyone. So that was probably one of my biggest, more fondest memories of there. I know it wasn't always pretty.
You're right.
It wasn't always pretty, but I always would kind of bring it back to, okay, let's focus on the highlight of that meeting, and try to work on those one-on-one relationships that way.
It's like you never left. Thanks for sharing that with us. Yeah, Sandra. Now we're gonna go throughout. We've been through your professional journey, and through that journey, again, you received a lot of accolades. That's why those of us who've worked with you and know you are so proud of you, because this recognition is much deserved. Some examples are the UNLV Boyd School of Law Distinguished Service Alumni Award, the National Urban League Young Professionals Corporate to Community Connector Award, the Las Vegas chapter of the National Bar Association Attorney of the Year, Ebony 2020 Power 100 list, and I can go on and on. I don't want to embarrass you.
Please don't, yeah.
But you became the president, again, of the Las Vegas Raiders iconic franchise in 2022, history-making moment for the franchise, for our community, and I'm sure for you and your family. Can you share what the emotions were like at that point for you personally and your loved ones?
I honestly will say I don't think it hit me. It probably still hasn't hit me. It was a bit of a whirlwind. I met Mark Davis, goodness, probably like a year or two prior to getting the appointment,
because I was on the Super Bowl. Courting you for a long time.
I know, he says that. I know, but it was more. I didn't know he was. I mean, that's how kind of stealth he is, if you will. I was on the Super Bowl host committee. I was on the board of Allegiant Airlines. Became co-chair of the Super Bowl host committee to help bring the Super Bowl to Las Vegas. So this would have been in 2021. And of course, I met him and met my predecessor and said, thanks for bringing the Raiders to Vegas. If it wasn't for that decision and that execution that Mark did, then we wouldn't have had the stadium and wouldn't have been able to bid on the Super Bowl. And so he mentions that he was courting me. It was really just kind of staying in contact, and I would recommend different things or different nonprofits or people, honestly, to kind of help the team become immersed in the community, because when the team moved here, it was 2020 and we were in the pandemic. But when you talk about the emotion of my family, I honestly will say I don't think it's fully hit me yet, only because I hit the ground running in July of 2022. So we were talking about it, and I knew he wanted me to have the he offered me the position, and my husband, who played football, was like, "Are you crazy? Let's go ahead and let's go and take this." But I did have some matters at Covington that I needed to. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And so there were certain matters at my firm that I really wanted to finalize that I knew that were important. And Mark was gracious and was respectful of that.
Nice.
And I remember being announced, but I never knew any NFL presidents before I started. So I really didn't know kind of what exactly I was getting into. And Mark just said, just go ahead and get in. It's all about the people. You'll be fine. And he was right. Again, it was a leap of faith. And I thought if he had this confidence in me, I should really have it in myself. And we're going to figure it out. And we ultimately did. But I don't think I understood the gravity of it until, I would say, after the announcement. I thought, okay, I'm just going to go back to my office, roll up my sleeves, and get the work done. And then I was contacted by so many different people, internationally, honestly. I obviously knew that the Raiders had such a strong brand, but just people wanting to know, who are you? What do you want to do? What are your goals? What are you going to do? I'm like, I haven't even met, the employees yet.
Yeah.
But it's an honor. I do know my parents, my family are very proud. I'm really hopeful the people at the Raiders, are kind of proud of what we've been able to do collectively. But it really, I remember meeting a season ticket member, which we're lucky to have some of the best season ticket members in the world. Mm-hmm. And it was at an event I was doing for one of our partners, our corporate partners. And he said to me, I've been a season ticket member for about 10 to 15 years. He's like, I came from Oakland. And he was like, and I have a son, I have a daughter. He's like, but it was my first time my daughter ever said, hey, Dad, maybe I could be a president of a Raiders too. And I was in a room full of people, and it completely, my throat started burning. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to cry in the middle of this? Awesome. But it completely caught me off guard. And I never met him before. And it's great because now I see him about once a season when he comes down. But that's when I thought, okay, this is bigger. It's a little bit bigger than just me getting this role, because I said, I just need to, not necessarily do interviews. I'll do them for the sake of making sure that people understand that what my goal is, to have the Raiders be stable, to kind of continue to grow and be a partner in Las Vegas. But I didn't really want to talk a lot about myself. Never been kind of front facing, as you know, Jaime, when you kind of mentioned the different careers that I've had. But when I had that comment from him, I thought, okay, this is a little bit about more than just me. So I definitely do what I can, whether it be locals in Las Vegas, men and women, boys and girls, of thinking, what can we do to kind of break through? And then obviously it's International Women's Day was kind of yesterday, and we're here in Women's History Month. So you meet so many women who have been in sports much, much longer than I have, that have just come up and said, I never thought I'd, kind of see the day that this could happen. So, and thank you. And so I think I do have a responsibility. I don't think I do. I know I do, to make sure people understand that it does start with yourself. It starts with confidence, and also starts with, when you're in the position that I am, making sure that you give people other visibility and opportunities to make sure that they have other opportunities to succeed as well.
I love to say, Sandra, that actions speak, not louder than words, but sometimes they matter most. They must not just match your words, right? And I see yours that way, because everything you're talking about now with words, I remember seeing when you were named, the day you were named president, you had a photo of the women in your life at Allegiant Stadium. Yeah. That was awesome. And then I remember hearing a story about how that day there was food and stuff, but you said very shortly, you said, I got to go to work. And you left and you went in there because you had to meet the staff. And so those are, I think, the actions that now, 3-4 years later, I saw when I walk headquarters, how people relate to you and how they smile when they see you. So tell us, when you stepped into this role, as you got to work, what were, I think you shared a couple of them, culture, but what were the other maybe top priorities for you to address as you became the president?
Well, I told myself I would wait 6 months so I could really get to know people and understand their roles and understand the processes that were there before, making any changes. And then, so after that time, I was, able to work very closely with our incredible HR team to establish kind of 3 pillars. One's being a champion, kind of in everything you do and how you show up and work every day. 2 is culture, and that's not just internal culture, but making sure how we treat people even outside of the building when we're representing our team. And 3 is community service, and impact is so incredibly important as we, are the Las Vegas Raiders kind of now after our 5th season here, and making sure that Las Vegas and Nevada know that we are their team. So those are the 3 things that every single employee, including myself, have to focus on. And it's part of our organizational goals as well. And we also focus on what we can do locally here to kind of gain impact. And so that's an organizational goal, separate and apart from your individual goals. And I think that's been great. Now, obviously, it'll adapt and kind of morph over time as our, as our specific goals change, or as the kind of the economic climate changes. And, as, sometimes our vision and mission may be tweaked from time to time. But those are our 3 pillars: champion, community, and culture.
That's awesome. As you can tell, I'm repping hard for the Raiders today.
It.
Now, during our break, your spin has the pin has spun. Can you spin it 180 up?
Oh, no.
There you go.
We don't want to put them upside down.
No, it's good. There you go. Thank you for repping Workforce Connections.
Of course.
As I said earlier, we still feel you're one of us. So I hope you don't mind us always saying that. But enough about work. I think our listeners would love to hear a little bit more about the personal Sandra. Tell us about how you unwind, how you recharge. It's a big job. How do you fill your batteries back up? What kind of activities, hobbies do you enjoy with your husband, with your kids? And as we did research, I love the story when he said, again, played for the Vikings and the Cardinals. But he said when we were dating, you made it a condition, almost a requirement, about education. So that says a lot about you. But tell us about how you recharge with them.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I don't recommend ultimatums in personal relationships, but we were young then. I met him when I was 18, 19, and I just knew he was so close to finishing his degree, but he left and played for the Vikings while we were at UNR. And I just said, we were already married. We were married my second year of law school, but I said, we probably won't have kids until you finish your degree. And it was like a, but he ended up finishing anyway. I was so proud of him. This was before school online was really virtual, but he did everything it took to get that done. So unwinding, I've been pretty open on saying this. I mean, there's not a one size fits all on this. Everyone has different, family dynamics. I'm very, very lucky and blessed to have an incredibly supportive husband. He's in law enforcement. He's a captain here for Nevada State Police, parole and probation, and is very grounded in kind of what he does every single day. And he really, really balances me because I'm definitely a go kind of person. We have 2 incredible kids. Our son is at the University of Nevada, Reno, Dylan. Our daughter is Dana, and she's 15 years old, and she's a sophomore in high school, and she keeps us busy. She is a competitive dancer. Wow. So we spent the last 2 weekends at dance tournaments, one in Phoenix and one here in Vegas. But we're both really lucky also to have a really strong set of friends. You mentioned the woman in that photo. Yes. When I was appointed. That was not a planned photo at all. It was, hey guys, I know I've been working on something. Show up here if you can. I had a girlfriend fly out from actually Los Angeles to be there. And I've been friends with all of them for well over 20 years. And through that, we've been able to kind of unwind when there's marriages, divorces, childbirth, teenage issues, and they really keep me grounded. So that's everything from a hike kind of in Lone Mountain or Mount Charleston to I'm going to out Hot Springs at Zion that I just kind of realize that are there. And then my husband and I usually unwind by just doing kind of walk around the neighborhood or, binge watching a show every now and then, which Netflix we love. Yes, absolutely. We're big fans of Game of Thrones. He actually listens to the audiobooks. I kind of just, kind of catch up on HBO Max. So, yeah.
That's very cool. So, Sandra, earlier you talked about how it feels good to inspire young women like that young girl who said, maybe I can be the president of the Raiders one day. In your journey you shared with us today, what nuggets have you learned that you could tell our audience? Maybe there's another young woman or man, young male listening or viewing us right now that said, what has helped you get here that you could share so they could maybe learn from you to one day be as successful as you are?
I never don't ever try not to doubt yourself. We often talk about, am I enough? Did I go to the right school? Did I go to the right law school? Did I have the right resume to kind of get that position? You always have to be a little bit nervous, I think, when you're going into something different. If you're not a little bit nervous, then maybe maybe you don't want it enough, right? There has to be, for me, a little bit of an inkling like, okay, I really want this bad, so I'm going to give it my all. And yeah, having a little bit of nerves, but get to the point when your self-doubt can kind of cripple you. That's not somewhere you want to be. I always say our mind is our truly strongest muscle, right? You have to think positively. You have to speak positively. And trust me, I have days where I'm just kind of like, what is going on? Maybe this isn't the right time, but I have to flip that switch and see things in a positive light and make it glass half full. When it comes to relationships, I think that's very important. You could have someone with the exact same undergrad degree, maybe the same numbers of years of work experience, but it can take a long time to build a reputation, and it can kind of go sideways really quickly. So regardless of who you're interacting with, even for me, when I was an attorney, I was on the other side of a case with people, right? So we're clearly advocating and arguing different things. And in litigation, there's a winner and a loser. But that doesn't mean you have to kind of treat someone poorly, right? You can still be professional and advocate for your client and still treat people with respect. I really subscribe to that, especially at a time where everything is so quick. Everyone wants everything delivered quickly. You want your media quickly. You want your responses quickly. And sometimes people want promotions quickly. But I think we have to go back ultimately to people, because that's who we work with every day. So I would just kind of keep that front of mind. That's something I actually tell my own children as well, just knowing that we're in a space where we're communicating with each other through a lot of digital means. It's really that kind of human connection and knowing how you treat people and how you show up, because that's why people want to work with you, or ultimately, hopefully, for you, right? Is if you keep that front of mind. So be prepared, stay diligent, be focused on education and self-education. I think, and depending on what you want to do, especially if you want to lead an area, just being knowledgeable of news and what's going on in the world and what's going on in your community is really important, because I think that helps you connect with people ultimately as well.
That's great advice. Sandra, I'll close with something that another mutual friend of ours said about you. He's actually our legal counsel now. We know him as Teddy. You know him as Theodore Parker III, because I think you worked for him after law school.
That's my first boss as a lawyer. Absolutely. Yep. Learned so much from him.
And there's a couple of quotes here, or a quote from him that says about you, "I don't believe there's any ceiling in her future." He said, "I think she can do pretty much anything she wants." And today I think I agree. After hearing you, I'm so glad that you remained here in Southern Nevada, and all these stops that you've made, including with us, which we always claim you as one of our own, has now put you in a position to move this iconic organization that we're so glad to have here in Southern Nevada, and make it just better and brighter. Mark was a genius to hire you. And we're so grateful.
We're gonna cut out. You're gonna use this camera on this. Yeah, that you're really good at surprising people.
We're so grateful that you made the time. I know you're busy. There's free agency going on. So thank you for being here today. And we can't wait to have you back, Sandra. Great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly a pleasure. It was fun to go down memory lane as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's it for another episode of WC Podcast. We hope to see you at the next one. Thanks to all the folks behind the scenes that make this happen. Until then, stay safe. Well, Sandra, thank you for staying over to do our bonus segment called The Hot Seat. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Your favorite food?
Bulgogi.
Favorite beverage with dinner?
Diet Coke.
Favorite dessert after dinner?
It's either going to be strawberry cake and cream cheese.
Yum. Favorite way to start your day?
A coffee. Favorite
way to unwind after a long day?
Watching a show with my husband.
Favorite? That's good. Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Favorite vacation destination?
Hawaii.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Favorite sport to watch other than football?
Basketball.
Favorite college sports team?
Oh, I'm going to say,
you can do two.
I'm going to do University of Nevada, Reno for football, University of Nevada, Las Vegas for basketball.
Very smart. This is too easy. Favorite professional sports team?
Las Vegas Raiders.
You made it through your favorites. Next section is called Tough Choices.
Oh, okay.
And I think you're going to nail this one. El Dorado Sun Devils or Chaparral Cowboys?
Sun Devils.
Minnesota Vikings or Arizona Cardinals?
Vikings.
Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football?
Monday Night Football.
Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
When you go on a vacation, would you rather do it or stay in a hotel or an Airbnb?
Oh, it depends. I'm going to say hotel.
Okay. The day you retire, will it be here in the city or out in the ranch?
In the city.
If you could have a day all by yourself, would it be by the ocean or hiking in the mountains?
By the ocean.
Here's where it starts to get tough, Sandra.
Okay.
Have more time or have more money?
Time.
The ability to fly or breathe underwater?
Fly.
The ability to speak with animals or speak any foreign language?
Foreign language.
The toughest ones, you got to pick one. Truth or kindness?
Truth.
Actions or words?
Actions.
Justice or grace?
Justice.
You made it through tough choices. Sandra, we're running the corners to the last segment. It's called Finish the Sentence. I'm going to give you 90%. You're going to finish it for me. You ready?
Okay.
If you could visit any place in the world, it would be?
Korea.
The best part about living here in Southern Nevada is?
Dining options.
Your favorite thing about being the president of the Las Vegas Raiders is?
The people.
And if you could travel back in time, maybe to that 1974 Datsun or something, I don't know, where would you travel to?
For my own life or anytime?
Anytime.
Oh, I'd probably travel to 1966.
Wow. And 3 words that describe you, Sandra, are?
Decisive. Hopefully empathetic. And honest.
I couldn't agree more. Sandra, doing the WC podcast here with us today was?
Fantastic.
Well, thank you for staying over.